real quick. What's going on? Good night, good evening, people. Good evening, good folks. Shaq, optimistic Knicks fan, Kings Beach Road. Coming again. This is episode number 56. Shout out to LT. One thing should be noted about me is, right, people ask me after every game, or they'll comment, try to tease me after every game. And I'm just not that guy. I'm not that Knicks fan that reacts after every single game. Like I feel like I don't really have to. You know what I'm saying? Like I will speak on the Knicks when there's something to talk about. I'll wait for something to break or change. So even Zay will hit me up, what's up with your Knicks? You know what I mean? Like, bro, the Knicks are going to win the East. And I'm still firm in that, right? Of course, we gotta play better. I think we have the ability to win the East like anybody else, and I think in the end we'll do it. Now, again, there's things that we just have to go out there and play better. And shout out to Zay, who was a little bit of a Wolves fan based on the fact that he lived in Minnesota for a while, right? He had a lot of dealing, about a decade of Karl-Anthony Towns on his team, so he's well aware, right? And I've been aware of him, right? I've been watching him for far, and for the past 2 seasons now, going on 2 seasons now, I've been watching him with the Knicks. And there was an interesting exchange post game. I was watching the game, great comeback by the Knicks again. It's not about, again, this video's not really about the game, but it was a great comeback by the Knicks. Really don't like that our offense goes into these spells where we're playing too slow, no pace. Shout out to Jose Alvarado, who clearly turned the game around. The pace picked up, the plays that they made, defensive intensity. And look, this is where, when it comes down to it, guy like Brunson, guy like Cat, they need to be picked up on this end. And it's like, I get there's certain things that they're not good at, right? There's certain things that they're not good at, but then there's certain things that they absolutely need to be, like, accountable for. They have to be, they have to be better defensively if the Knicks are going to win anything, right? And just as well is they also have to be better leaders, right? And they have, obviously they need to bring in offense. Those are the two most talented offensive players on the Knicks. But you argue whether they're the two most, and probably the two most important. But when it comes down to it, because you're getting such better defensive play out of the other guys, the Wingstop and Hart, this is where they need to be picked up. And again, I've been there are people, there are critics of the Knicks who say, having 2 defensive liabilities as your best 2 players is a problem. Now, I understand. I'm well aware of their limitations, right? Jalen Brunson made 2 tremendous defensive plays, and both of them involved getting charges. I believe both of them was on Durant, or one of them was on Durant. The other one was on Tari Eason or something like that. But I think both of them were on Durant, right? So I watched the 4th quarter. I watched basically all of the 4th quarter. Didn't watch the rest of the game. Then, I've been out working. I'm still out, but I didn't bother to put the game on until the 4th quarter. And so I'm gonna get into the interesting exchange between Karl-Anthony Towns and Shaq and inside the NBA crew. And it's one of those things. It's like where the gap is between Karl-Anthony Towns and an absolute killer. It's where the gap is between Karl-Anthony Towns and being a superstar. And it's one of the again, a lot of people who know this about Cat, right, and have been criticizing him with me, they'll write him off. Me, I'm not going to do that because I understand. And they understand. Like, thank Joplin, Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck, because they understand. Martin Towns is a nice kid. He's a nice guy. He's a very likable guy. He ain't no killer. And he's immensely talented. But he ain't no killer. And we understand we're not going to get a Shaquille O'Neal in his prime out of college. We're just not going to get that. That's not going to happen, right? And Knicks fans have to accept that, right? I'm one who does. I'm one who understands what he is and who he is. Very important. It's very important to understand what Carnegie Town is as a player and who he is as a person. And, you know, there's a lot of passivity in his personality, right? Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a likable guy. You can see why Ant-Man balls out for him, right? Carnegie Town is he's a genuinely good guy, right? There's nothing to really hate about him. He don't, you know. But I think that's what it is. He needs to get some. You don't have to be, and again, Kenny was making a point. You don't have to be the meanest guy or the most rah-rah guy to be dominant on the basketball court. But there's a fine line that he walks where, yeah, I mean, his best game of his career, the coach benched him. He could have went for 70, and the coach benched him because he didn't like a lot of what was going on as far as the attitude and aloofness. They remember he had 60 points and they lost the game. And Coach Finch took off the starters when he could have went for 70. You know, it's something to be said to that. You understand what I'm saying? There is definitely something to be said to that. And I'm one to understand that, hey, yeah, Cat, he is so talented. I see the talent, but I also see the passivity, and that's always been my criticism of him. He was great tonight. Great tonight. And that's the thing. We need to see this more consistently. I think that's the issue. And I think if we get this, if we get a couple of months, because I was, you know, I'm not going to hold you. The way I was looking at it, the way, because I part of me knew, right, one of the problems with Houston is they're a terrible fourth quarter team. And it's been this way with Kevin Durant's team basically since he left Brooklyn, where when he goes to Phoenix, they don't really have a point guard. And you saw tonight their lack of a real true making point guard, floor leading point guard. You had 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone. You're getting pickpocketed left and right. This is where having a point guard on that roster, they didn't address it at the trade deadline. And you know what? We're in a day and age where the amount of true point guards are few and far between. Like there aren't a lot of true point guards now. I think that's a major issue, right? But you go with it. The Knicks put out the second point guard. And shout out to Mike Brown, because again, you know, this is gonna be about Carnegie Town. This video is about Carnegie Town, but shout out to Mike Brown for bringing in Alvarado. This is where Alvarado is very important. Does 2 things: gives the Knicks 2 ball handlers, gets Brunson off the ball. If Brunson gets to go ISO, he can do that. But the plays where we don't get them to go ISO, we got a second ball handler out there. Yeah, the Knicks are going to be smaller. The Knicks are going to give up some rebounds because of it. We almost lost the game because of the offensive rebounds Houston was getting. But yeah, it's not, having Alvarado out there, he pretty much gave us this game. This is the thing, right? But yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns has got to be a dog, man. If the Knicks are going to win a championship, and that's the thing, right? I still think the Knicks get into the finals, at the very least. I don't see it with Detroit. It's funny, right? For a team that's been whooping our ass, I just don't see them getting through 3 rounds with their lack of experience and their lack of a, and again, I mean, it could happen, but I don't see it. So if it is Knicks and Pistons in the conference finals, we'll see. I think the Knicks are clearly better than Cleveland. I don't care what the record's saying. I think they're clearly better than Boston. All right, and I think that'll prove out. It'll prove out before the regular season. I think the Knicks will get anywhere from 53 to 55 wins and probably get that second seed, which is probably what you're going to need. Detroit probably going to get to 60. And then that'll be the path. But it really says something. It really says something when it comes to just the mentality and the attitude of today's player. And again, Karl-Anthony Towns is a good guy. But what I noticed in that exchange is he seemed like perturbed and disturbed. And that's like, it's like you have a nigga that three-peated, right? And Shaquille O'Neal. Nigga that played with Kobe Bryant again, right? He went at it with Kobe because of his aloofness. But at the end of the day, on that basketball court, even though he was the jolly, not always taking it serious, class clown on and around the court, when it come down to that game, he was a monster. He was a killer. And Karl-Anthony Towns just doesn't have it yet, or doesn't have it consistently enough. And again, for a guy, it's like the Draymond Green thing, and I hate for Draymond Green to be proven right on this. But a lot of guys that play against Towns see this. They know that he's talented. They know that, but they also know he ain't that guy that's going to go low to get the job done. And I think he needs to understand this. And being perturbed, and again, I think at the end of the exchange, Shaq and Kenny and Chuck, they understood what was going on, and they just said, look, the kid is just nice. He's just a nice guy. He's just a nice kid who ain't going to be that type to do that. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, like you're not gonna see that from it, but you want to, and this is the thing, you want to see it from his play, because there's nothing wrong with being nice, and being nice is not a necessary. Grant Hill was one of the nicest niggas in the world. He'll dunk on your mother. Grant Hill is one of the best humans. So is Steph Curry. You see what I mean? Like Steph Curry ain't that. He'll talk a little trash, but we need that. We just need you to play up to you. We need you to play up to your talent. Again, there's things in your game, because I covered it in the last video. There's things in your game that you don't necessarily have to be dominant all the time. But we need you to be dominant. We need you to be one of the best players on the court every night. There's no reason, again, especially against Detroit. You are the third best player in that series, easily. You're better than Jalen Durant, especially at this point. But the fear is if the Knicks play Detroit, did Durant would outplay him. You would have to absolutely. This kid is too young. You've been in the league. You're 30 years old now. You've been in the league for so long. You need to be. You're talking about 25 and up, possibly. And again, to me, there's no reason why, he should be under 20 points a game this year. I know part of it is the Knicks scheme and part of it is not fitting in, but yeah, Cat has got to get, like, this is, I'm not sure if this is career low out in his rookie year. Cat has got to get it together. And he hits some big shots, some big threes, played in the paint. Good mix tonight. And you did it against an all-star center, a fellow all-star center. That's what we need. We need you to be an all-star, Cat. We need you to be an all-star. But the angle that I wanted to look at, too, is that, yeah, this Generation Y, Generation X, Generation Y, I believe he's a Generation Generation Y, Generation Z. I believe he's the end of Generation Y. He might be a Generation Z. He might be a Zennial, right? And being a Zennial, yeah, because he was like 4 or 5 years old at the turn of, at 2000, right? It's this attitude, and again, I saw it, yeah, I hear you, legend, I hear you. No. They were trying to pump you up, and I get it. It may be not who you are. But even when you're sitting there with 2 Hall of Famers, right? I know Kenny Thrift is not a Hall of Famer, but even he is a 2-time champion. You got 6-time champion. Speaking of you got an award-winning cast of, inside the NBA. Charles Barkley has an MVP. Shaq had an MVP. You got that talking to you. And I know they're not your generation, but they're really trying to convey something to you. And that idea that line of questioning made you sort of uncomfortable, when really you should know that it's really to pump you up. We don't need humble, bro. I think that's what it is. We don't need humble from you. We need you to say, I want to dominate. I want the Knicks to win. For the Knicks to win a champion, I know I have to be, at worst, the 3rd best player in a game every fucking night, especially in the playoffs. All right, regular season. All right, you in and out. We need you to get back to the level of Cat. We need you to be Cat, bro. Period. We need you to be Cat. We don't need you to be Carl. We don't need you to be the nice guy. We don't need, you know what I'm saying? We don't need Kitty Cat. We need Bodega Cat. Be spry. Pick your spots. Nick motherfuckers that shouldn't be able to guard you. Why would we play in the playoffs? Ain't got nobody to guard you. Matter of fact, there's nobody to guard you in the league. Again, I know his limitations, but I know what he can do. And I'm one of them Knicks fans that, as long as Cat is on my team, I'm gonna say what it is. And I've always known how good he is. But it's like, when you go out and you see this 6.1 rebound game, how the fuck does that happen? Well, you see how it happens. He's very passive. He's not demanding the ball. You need to sell Jalen Brunson. Give me the fucking ball. Fuck falling in line. Give me the fucking ball. I want to see that in the goddamn huddle in a game when you playing like you did last. And then look, Brunson, shout out to Brunson. He played very well in that 4th quarter. Alvarado, they knew. I think Alvarado being a fellow Latino, that might be a good dynamic. The fact, I understand he's Rican. I get it. But having a fellow Latino there, might be of great benefit. It really might. Because maybe culturally, and again, Carly is mixed. He's half and half, right? But, you see the Dominican, the nice guy Dominican, again, I think when Shaq was going at him, he was trying to appeal to his sense of Jersey, right? But yeah, man, we need you to be we need a little dog. I know you're the cat, but be Bodega Cat. Be a cat that they can fuck around with some dogs. He can fuck around and hold his own with some dogs. You're spry. You're quick on you. I mean, not the quickest, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you got a skill set. It's really hard to fucking deal with. You could be putting niggas in foul trouble every night. So I'm getting having this thing, because I get it. I get Karl-Anthony Towns' psychology. He's not that nigga, but we need him to take on the attitude of that nigga, man. We need him to take on the attitude of a Bow Wow, of a motherfucker that just ready to, you know, lay the wood on somebody, Paul. You know, God damn it, man. So many of our vernaculars, we have to now say pause. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, he really has to be that, you know, again, the cat is his moniker, but we need him to be a dog, or we need him to be that alley cat, man. We need him to be that cat that, yeah, man, he ain't taking no shit. Again, just on the court, it ain't gotta be every, I mean, I'm saying, you ain't got to have a personality transplant. You ain't got to be something you're not. We just need you to be, like, we need you to be hungry on that basketball court. And that's what Shaq and him was trying to get at, because they know who he is, right? They know that he's not that. But that don't mean you can't be that dude on the court. Shaq was a goof. But Shaq was a big motherfucker who knew he was a big motherfucker. Who knew what he could do on the court. He could, you know, physically, he can, you know, swat them motherfuckers off. And I get it, right? I think that's what it is too, because Cat gets these stupid fouls when he does get over aggressive, and he has to be, you know, he has to be guarded against himself. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Cat. I think Jose's presence, and as they get to know each other maybe more, I think a guy like, here's one thing I noticed too, he called Jeremy Sochan. Like, so, I know you don't know, bro, you probably don't know, bro, personally, but you got his name, but Sohan is another one of these rah-rah motherfuckers who, again, Cat is who he is because of his immense talent. Like, he's in the league, and that's a good point that they made as well. He's in the league, and he, you know, because of his immense talent, and there's certain guys, like they said, they made a very good point. Scott Skiles had to be even be in the league, and a guy like Cat, who's so tremendously talented, who the game has come easy to at every level, doesn't. And it's like, when you see a Jose Alvarado, when you see a Jeremy Sohan, I think you need to take a little bit of lead, follow their lead, and a little bit of inspiration from these cats, and really figure out, these guys should be able to rub off on you. And I mean, you know, as we go through some wars, as the Knicks go through some tough games and a little bit of adversity, maybe that'll play out. I think that'll play out. So I'm gonna end it here. I think the message was received by Cat. Maybe, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to influence him on what he needs to get to that next level. But he has to get to another level, man. He can't. What he's doing is not enough, and I think he understands it. I think he does understand it. You know what I mean? Or maybe he should. I think he needs to be a little bit more selfish. I think he needs to be a little bit more, control that rage. Control that rage. Don't just wild out. Don't be somebody you're not. You don't have to be somebody he's not. But figure out what you can be. And what you can be is one of the most dominating players, especially in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Because that's where we are. We want to get to the finals, right? So we want to get to the finals, and we want to win the finals. But we need you to be that guy every night, man. Jalen Brunson, another guy who he's not the big man. He ain't big. But he scrapped his way. You know, he was a great player in every level. 2-time champions at Villanova. Something you weren't able to do, right? You weren't able to win a championship in his 1 year at Kentucky. But figure it out, man. I think he needs to be more of a leader, not one of these guys that just want to go along, get along. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I still I believe in the Knicks overall. I think we're still the best roster. We're not playing the best basketball. I think we got another 2 months to work it out. And, I think we'll be fine. So, all right, I'm going to end it here. Peace.